Hey everybody, it's Party Elite! Welcome you back to our Planet Zoo franchise mode Let's Play. We're gonna dive right back into Elite Zoo South. There is, as always, a lot to get done today, folks, and I am very, very excited. The slower rollout of episodes is a hard thing to work with sometimes because I want to get back into it and I want to get back to building, but I also have to, of course, be reasonable with myself with regards to how many hours there are in a day, I suppose. I want to say thank you really quickly right off the bat over here for all of y'all for being so understanding and flexible and just amazing. You know, I was worried when we'd slow down the rollout of Planet Zoo episodes that fairly, I suppose many wouldn't be too happy about it, but y'all have been absolutely amazing, and it really, I mean, there are no words. It really helps. Really helps with sanity. Let me put it that way. So thank you so very much for being so very awesome. It's been great, sort of going back and forth between Jurassic World Evolution 2 and Planet Zoo. It keeps my sort of creativity going. I find like it gives me a good bit of rejuvenation, stepping away and coming back every so often, and it keeps me kind of keeps me on my toes, which I've been enjoying quite a bit as well because it feels. I don't know. I think it's been working out quite well, and I'm really excited for some of the plans I have for the new enclosures and stuff that'll be located at Elite Zoo South. However, we will not be building a new one today. I saw quite a few comments with regards to perhaps doing a lighting pass, which I think is a solid idea. I think it's been quite some time actually since we've done a lighting pass. We've added so many animals back to back to back at Nyati Plains. Then we added the elephants. Then we added the mandrills, and we haven't done a lighting pass in, it feels like, months now, if not longer, because before that, let's not forget, there was also, or rather in the midst of all that, let's not forget there was the DLC pack that released, right? And on that note, we're actually about to head into another DLC pack, and it's looking rather amazing. Really excited to cover it. So we'll do what we've done for the previous DLC packs as well, kind of step away from our franchise mode playthrough to go into our sandbox zoo, where we'll highlight the new animals, the new construction pieces and everything, maybe find some new cultural motifs and stuff to get inspired by. Really excited for that DLC as well, and I think the timing of it couldn't have been better in many ways, because right now we are in between enclosures, so to speak, right? Because we finished Nyati Plains, of course. We've got our African elephants in, which we will be naming today as a part of our, I call it lighting pass, but it'll be a lighting and beautification pass. I think we'll try and do both of them at the same time. So we're in between enclosures right now, right? We got 1, 2, 3 done. We'll wrap them up today with the lighting and all that. And so now we can kind of step away again, do our enclosures for the new animals that are coming. We can explore their Zoopedia entries and all that kind of stuff. And then once that's done with the new DLC, we'll come back in to Elite Zoo South and, get hopefully the next 3 enclosures in. It in a way extends our playthrough definitely into the new year, which is nice. We don't have to say farewell to the Elite Zoo Company just quite yet, but it also gives us some new animals to explore and stuff in between. And I'm really quite pumped for the for what we've seen so far already. So keep your eyes peeled for that on the channel, of course. But yeah, like I said, the timing is kind of impeccable because that means that we've been able to get some enclosures done. We've been able to set this session aside for a beauty pass / lighting pass, and then we can we can step away for that sandbox mode addition of new animals from the new DLC, and then we can come back and add some more new enclosures, which will all end up over here, right? Like some of these guys are I believe there are a couple of varied environments that we can put them in. So we might have some of the guys up over here. Some of them might have some of them over here. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I want to mention really quickly as well, by the way, I apologize if my voice seems a little off. I'm feeling a touch under the weather. It's nothing too major. It's the same thing that's been going on for the last couple of weeks, I guess now. Months, maybe. If you're in the Discord or if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know what's up. But just been feeling a little under the weather. So this session might end up being a little bit shorter, only because I'll spend more time sort of in the time lapse rather than doing management stuff. I just want to make sure I'm at 100% when the DLC drops and everything. But just want to give a heads up that yeah, if my voice sounds a little off, that's why. Nothing to worry about. Don't worry, everything's fine. Just some minor, it's it's the seasonal stuff, right? It's that time of year, the most wonderful, some would say. No, it is a very wonderful time of year. I just tend to get a little under the weather. Anyway, enough talk about all that. Just wanted to give you a heads up that the session might be a slightly shorter one, and we're actually, I think we're going to dive right into a time lapse, get some work done, maybe review it after the time lapse, and that'll be today's show. There is actually, hold on, before we get into that, I need to see what these 24 red flags are, because what? I was gonna say, like, there isn't that much like management and stuff we have to do urgently. I say that, but we have clearly a lot of issues, and I'm not sure if it's because of these guys don't have a clean enough habitat. Keeper assigned. Let's go ahead and call the keeper urgently, because I feel like, I mean, social here is also a problem. Oh no, you know what? A lot of these issues might not be real. It might just be because we only just loaded in. So why don't we go ahead and unpause temporarily, and see what that does for some of these animals. Oh, you can. I apologize. I'm like losing my voice mid-sentence. My apologies, folks. Don't worry, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. That's part of the reason why I want to dive into a time lapse sooner rather than later as well. All right, let's go ahead and move you over to here, please. This really is unfortunate that they can get up there, but they can't get down. You know, what if I just lower this? I mean, as much as it's been nice to have this, I think this was a great suggestion. Again, I've been getting so many great suggestions from the comments, and folks, do keep them coming. This was a great idea, and I'm glad we've implemented this kind of stuff throughout the park, throughout the zoo, using my Jurassic World and Planet Zoo terminology sort of interchangeably, I guess. And as gorgeous as it was at first, I feel like this minor adjustment doesn't like ruin it, and also hopefully will make it so that the dingoes are able to go in and out of this area freely, and we won't see this occasional issue. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen occasionally. Meanwhile, the koalas over here. Now, the thing here is this is a bit more of an involved fix. If we wanted to prevent the koalas from getting up over here, we'd have to do some major changes. And so, in this case, I'd rather just go in and move these guys around. It's a little unfortunate. Again, they can get up here, but they can't get down. Very, very silly. But hey, it is what it is. What do we have over here? An escaped Nile monitor. How did you escape? How does that even happen? And how do you get so far before I noticed? It must have come up last session and I just missed it. Do we have... Alright, looks like, there was a touch of management stuff to take care of right off the bat over here. But not too much. Let's find a little juvenile here. Let's check your... what I'm looking for. Right. This is what I'm looking for. Habitat. Do we have... Oh, here we are. Well, now hang on a second. Doesn't look like you can escape here, even though when I come up over here, did we all see the little red marker? I saw a little red. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, you know what that is, though? That's just because the, that's not actual, like, escape. It's just the habitat maybe we need to expand by a touch, so that's fine. It also doesn't make sense that they'd be able to actually, get that far out from over there. Something else must have gone wrong over here. That escaped Nile monitor must have like clipped through the terrain or something, because it's impossible for it to get so far out. It's impossible for it to get so far out, so it must be something else going on there. All right, fair enough. So why don't we go ahead and edit the barrier here and see if we just need to make a little bit of an adjustment over here. Yeah, see, that's what's going on. Over here, there's like this little space. I think that maybe they can... in a way get through, so that should do the trick. Go ahead and find our Nile monitor. Oh, oops, that's a mistake. Back at it. Come on, there we go. Find our Nile monitor. Juvenile. Go ahead and I guess I gotta play to actually is the sun rising or setting? I do hope it's setting, because I need that darkness. I can always change time magically, of course, but I prefer not to do it. That's still showing up. I don't think I've ever seen them actually escape here, so I'm not gonna let that bother me, because I don't think that's an accurate representation of what might actually happen. What else do we have here? Your welfare has attracted protesters. They'll be gone soon. Elijah, your welfare, they'll be gone soon as well. These protesters. Abiona, though, the welfare here is problematic. Supposedly you've escaped. But you haven't, though. This is well within... Oh, you know what it is? Right. Right. So some of y'all pointed this out in the comments as well. And like I've said, folks, again, do keep those likes and comments coming. I apologize. I feel like I've mentioned that just minutes ago this session as well. But do keep those likes and comments coming because I do still read them all. I do still pay attention to them all. I do still adjust my approach based on them all. So do keep them coming. They do still have a direct impact on what happens when we execute things on the channel. Ever since the move, things have been a little bit crazier in terms of just like there's so much to do to get the the new place like up and running. Basically, it's still not done. It's been months. It's still not all done. Hopefully, it'll be done soon. So it's been kind of keeping me very occupied lately. So I do apologize that I've not been replying as much as I used to. But I am still reading all the comments, and I am still sort of keeping them in mind and making moves according to them. So rest assured, your comments are still heard, read, if you will. I suppose your voice is still heard, even though I read the comment. You know what I mean. But I just wanted to make a quick mention of that because, yes, it does still make a direct impact. What are we looking at here? Will this be okay? So many of you theorize that the reason why our mandrills here were teleporting after they reached a certain height was because they were getting too high and they were getting past the top extent of the enclosure, and then they were being teleported because, I mean, I guess I would expect it to be marked as an emergency capture, like an escaped animal instead, like we have right now. But I mean, I'll take this, sure. It makes sense. It makes sense. So I'm hoping that this solves both of those issues, I guess. Go and raise this up a little bit more. Might as well just do it once and not have to come back again, right? So hopefully that solves that. So I can set that aside. And apart from that, why don't we go ahead and actually resume here and see what happens to this escaped animal. Okay. I don't have words. I feel like that's how the Nile monitor escaped as well. Oh god. Oh no, what have we done? Get me out of this camera. Alright, cool. Go ahead and emergency capture you, I suppose. Very strange. Not sure what's going on here. Some low welfare over here. Can we cancel your move and have you just pop out? I'd like to like solve these quicker, you know, sooner rather than later, just to see and make sure we've got results before we move on. Yeah, I said like, oh yeah, there's minimal management stuff, but no, quite a few of our animals were quite distraught. Too few adults. We need another adult here, don't we? Yeah, we do. Got you, another escaped animal, it sounds like. Where is our other? Mandrill? And who's escaped? Dangerous friend for alpha status among the West African lions. Alright. Oh, there's a lot going on. Sally, are you the only new adult male? Seems to be the case. Yep, go ahead and send you to the trade center, because Olafemi is still the alpha, and that's fine. Our meerkat is stressed out. I think that's just because they're being watched so much. Okay, we'll keep an eye on them. What's wrong with Elijah? You're completely happy. Why are protesters here? They're completely happy. They couldn't be happier. Everything's great. These protesters out of here. I'm not sure what to do about that. Layla's got low welfare as well. What's your deal here? I guess you got stuck over here. All right, fair enough. Let's go ahead and move you out over here as well. Nasor here, dangerous animal has escaped. Have you actually though? You're in a box. Can we? That's Layla. Sorry. Sauda. Oh, the game just thinks you've escaped because we've got this little corner over here. I was literally going to say, I was like, that corner's not going to matter. But lo and behold. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. Go over to here. Edit barrier. Need to make a slight adjustment. Go ahead and unpause for a second. I can't believe I worked through the night there. Oops. Not 0% my intent. Absolutely not my intent. But it does look like we've solved almost all these issues. What's the deal over here? We have a black wildebeest, Hondo, not very happy. Nutrition is poor. Why don't we go ahead and get the keeper coming here? Oh, they're already headed here urgently. What is their food looking like? Where is I suppose I could do this where I go to Zoopedia from here, and then from here I go to manage, and that rather quickly takes us over to this screen over here where we can take a look at not their food quality, because that's not how that works. We can take a look at food over here though. So that was the, well, actually, why don't we go ahead and do this and just make sure as many of them as possible are at grade 3, because we've actually completed quite a bit of research. We can get some people up to grade 2 as well. Why don't we do that? Go ahead, wherever possible, get you up to grade 3, and that'll keep the black wildebeest happy, I should hope. Everybody else is taken care of. All right, cool. Cool. And what about actually our research? How is that going? Let's take a look at our vet research and take a look at, oh, what have we completed here? Springbuck and sable antelope are closer to being done, let's call it. But we have quite a few vets looking for assignments. So why don't we get? We've added the little critters, right? So we've got those guys to do a lot of research for. The black and white ruffed lemur were a free edition, a new free edition. Let's get Mariah Kelly here working on the black and white ruffed lemur. We'll go ahead and get Ashley Horan here working on the Thompson's gazelle. Apart from that, I mean, geez, we do have a lot of research to do still, don't we? Let's go ahead and get Brandy Lee working on the southern white rhino. Do we have enough vets out and about taking care of the animals themselves? I think so. Let's keep everybody else out and about. Let's make sure they're still taking care of the animals, and no one's gonna end up sick and causing a whole cascade of issues that way. And this will help us as soon as we finish the sable antelope. We can do a little bit of adjusting and get more research going. I'm hesitant to pull away from like the advanced research of the koala, for example, because it does help with fertility, or so I've been told, and we had been having some issues with that, so I'd rather keep that going, right? What else do we have going on over here? Vending machine has broken down. Let's go ahead and get the mechanic going there urgently. And this power source is unreachable. Is it really? How is it unreachable? What? What? What's going on? What is going on? Let's go ahead and get the staff path. Like so. Alright, fair enough. I don't remember that being a problem, but clearly it was. And what do we have over here? A reward for habitat space. Satisfy the Colombian white-faced capuchin monkey's climbable area requirement. That is an interesting challenge. I don't think I've ever seen one like it, but it's given us a free grand, so I'll claim that reward. Don't mind if I do. I was thinking like there was a new Oh, wait, what? Excuse me? I didn't see this on the, oh, that's why, because 0 minutes left. I guess we just missed this one. I was like, I didn't see this on the, like the main, like loading, like the main menu where normally the challenges are listed. I guess we just missed this one. Oh man, if I'd recorded earlier today, I might have been able to actually contribute. Looks like we didn't make it though, 69% complete. Honey, I'm home. Release 3-star bears. Many legends speak of bears and their honey, but we're more interested in getting them home. Release 3-star bears this week and help them get back to their natural habitats. Yeah, see, this is the thing about I don't think star-based challenges work. I'm just gonna say that with the broadest of brushstrokes. I think time and time again, any of the challenges that have been focused around animals that have a certain number of stars, they just don't work. I think we rarely cross the threshold with them, and I'm almost certain we rarely have enough contribution to actually matter. Like we might have like one animal that is ever 3 stars and is a part of the challenge at a time, because it's determined by their appeal to your customers, if memory serves me right, which means you need to have had them around for a long time and your guests need to like them, and that's a lot of things that are not in your control. You know what I mean? Like I don't mind it being like gold and bronze or silver. Like I don't mind that being the limiting factor of which animals you're allowed to release and get credit for, because genetics and breeding and stuff, that is in your control, but the appeal rating of the animals in your zoo are very much not in your control, if memory serves me right? Like it's sort of something the guests determine themselves based on, I don't know, various factors, I guess. So this has always been a bit strange to me. Unfortunate to see that nobody gets their rewards. I mean, people will get some smaller rewards, but not the big ones, and that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. It would have been nice to be a part of this. We have a lot of bears, but I don't think we have a lot of 3-star bears. I don't think we have any 3-star bears, actually. But folks, enough of my rambling, enough of my, oh yeah, we don't have too much management to do. So we'll be fine. I think we're almost ready for a time lapse. Actually, before we dive into the time lapse, why don't I very quickly, we have another sponsor board being added today. We've got Emilia and Shroom Vroom over here already sponsoring the African elephants. But we're going to be adding one more sponsor for the African elephants. That is the only request I've seen so far for this month. If I've missed one, then I do apologize, but I don't think I have. I scoured through. I double and triple checked comments in my notes and the private messages on I should say Patreon as well to make sure. But I do believe we just have the one new edition. Sorry, I'm just checking for spacing over here. I want to make sure it's consistent, right? I want to make sure the rotation's right as well. But folks, as always, again, I don't think I mentioned this this month yet, but if you've been really enjoying this series and content on the channel in general, I humbly, as always, request that you maybe consider becoming a channel member or patron. Links to Patreon and channel membership are both in the description down below. It's a great way to support the channel, and it's a great way to support these long-running series, especially. It kind of keeps them sustainable. It's a very big part of what keeps some of these long-running series sustainable. So just something to consider. Again, no pressure. That's why I try not to mention it too often. If you are interested in supporting the channel in that way, links in the description down below. And then if you would like to have a sponsor board, or if you would like to have a staff member named after yourself, then you can always let me know at the beginning of every month, or around the beginning of every month. I keep an eye out for them. I take notes, and we build the sponsor boards, and we get the staff named, and it's been a fun tradition. It's been a great set of suggestions that were actually passed over from the comments during the first season of Planet Zoo. So yeah, don't hesitate to to do that if you want to. Again, no pressure, no pressure. I can't stress that enough. It helps and all, but yeah, just no obligation or anything. All right, I just need to double check my notes over here because I'm a little concerned. I never want to get these wrong for obvious reason. So I just want to double check my notes over here to make sure that I've got my spelling and everything correct, spelling, spacing, and everything. And oftentimes, obviously, people prefer to go in with pseudonyms and stuff like that. So I just want to make sure that we are okay with the name I'm about to drop over here. I apologize for the screen standing still. Bear with me here, folks. Yes, looks like I've got everything correct. So all I've got to do then is pull you over and get Logan Lester as our latest sponsor, sponsoring the African elephant. Got to get that spacing right to make sure it looks good. There we go, beauty. A little bit of spacing on either side just to lower it a touch. There we go, there we go. Looking good, looking good. And I also like the size to be as consistent as possible, just because it creates that like consistency across the sponsor boards and like a visual kind of rhythm and all that. Why do I feel like this one's a little bit too high? Oh, you know what? It's because of the cap height, the capital letters. Yeah, because you can see kind of Logan Lester and Emilia here seem like they sit a little higher. No, it's because Logan Lester is also a long. Okay, so all right, fair enough. This is the part of this that doesn't usually come across because it's always in the time lapse, but it does sometimes take a couple of adjustments to make sure these are all looking as good as they should. There we go. That looks right side better, I think. Yeah, that seems a lot better. All right, cool, perfect. It's especially evident when they're so kind of like close to each other, and they're so the contrast is so high between the background and the lettering. You can kind of like tell very clearly if something is right or if something is off. But there you go. So Logan Lester, our latest sponsor for the African elephant. Thank you very much for the support, Logan Lester, of the channel, but also of the animals. Thank you very much. Right, with that done, folks, I think it's time to dive into our time lapse. We're of course going to be teleporting to nighttime, so we can focus on lighting. And then if I would say if we have time left after our lighting pass, which seems very unlikely now that I say it out loud, we'll go ahead and do some more beautification stuff as well. There's a lot to get done still. There's a lot to get done at Elite Zoo South still. There's plenty of work to do, and we're gonna keep it going, folks. It is time-lapse time. All right, folks, we are back with another time-lapse that has been quite some time. Even though we had one last session, it feels like they're forever apart, doesn't it? I know I said I was going to focus primarily on lighting first, but immediately I go back on my word because I realize I've got a couple of name suggestions that I wanted to put in, and one of those name suggestions actually worked quite nicely for a Chief Beef, and we'll touch more on that in just a little bit right after the time-lapse, actually. But once I put the new store in, I started to realize a couple of issues here and there. I realized, I wanted to cap this bottom section off a bit more nicely, even though you'd rarely ever see it. I wanted to make sure it looked as refined as possible for when we, never saw it. But then that escalated even further. You can see me down over here, sort of contemplating my life decisions, as it were. I was trying to figure out how exactly I wanted to decorate this bottom space, and I ultimately decided to build a proper ceiling, because it looks hideous, really, just seeing the bottom of the path upstairs. Basically, it just doesn't work for me at all. So we go ahead and we build the flooring over here just to make a proper case for the space, I guess. And that doesn't take too long, but it does, I think, really liven up the space. Again, the bright orange is quite nice, so that's good. But it's just, it's just so much cleaner, but a lot more work than I anticipated. So right off the bat, like I was saying, got completely distracted from the task of doing lighting, and took care of some of these. Now, to be fair, I did say before we dove into the time lapse that I would, probably cap off some of these spaces as well. But my thinking was that would be the second priority. But I just kind of got carried away, I suppose. But fear not, we will be doing some lighting as well. This isn't the only thing that we do in this time lapse, of course. It's actually, I'm very pleased with this time lapse. We get some really nice lighting. We managed to maintain my desired sort of effect, if you will, art direction, I suppose we could kind of loosely call it. With lighting, again, you might recall many episodes ago. I mean, you might not recall because it was so long ago, but many episodes ago I'd referenced how I wanted the lighting to be a bit more subtle at Elite Zoo South, and we'll touch more on that when we actually get to it. I'm sort of jumping the gun over here because I did want to get these names down first. So again, we had a couple of name suggestions across not just this enclosure, but the African elephant enclosure as well. The African elephant one I've been kind of sitting on for some time. I've had it picked out, but I was just giving folks some time to drop some more suggestions. Did the same for our enclosure over here. Ultimately, we're going with the Primate Posse, and we will make the name official after the time lapse as well. I mean, I don't actually name the space. I just put the name up physically over here. And I do believe we are actually going to shift to lighting now for a moment before we get the name down for the African elephant enclosure as well. Now, again, over here you can see, like I was saying, right, very kind of subtle in the lighting, even though we're using spotlights, trying to get them angled correctly so it feels more like the fall off is what's lighting stuff rather than getting a hot spot. You can see I'm kind of messing around with some of these other options, but they don't really work all that nicely. I will say, one really weird thing about the lighting in this game is that it doesn't always work as you expect it to. And I think I know why. From a technical perspective, from a game engine perspective, I think I know why. I think it's because of the type of light sort of being used. Not gonna get trying to avoid going down this rabbit hole of technicality, but there are different kinds of lights in most engines. They're like point lights, spotlights, etc. And you'll see actually right now I put this little lamp thing down, and rather than just have the light point forward, you can see there's light leaking out the back of this thing as well. And I think that's because rather than have an actual kind of spotlight kind of a effect to it, the model has a point light, so it just emanates light in every direction, which physically looks absolutely wrong, and it also makes it rather unpredictable when putting those pieces down. And I just noticed that today as I was playing with some of those pieces, and I was like, well, this isn't right. So I set that aside, and instead I'm using some of the hanging lights over here, these string lights. I'm a big fan of string lights, not just in this game, but also just in life in general. It has just a very I feel like string lights are very cozy. Makes the space feel just, cozy. It's got nothing to do with like Christmas lights or anything like that. I know for a lot of people there's an immediate association But no, it's not that for me. I think a lot of the pubs and bars and stuff I go to tend to have their back patios with string lights, and so there's this association of this like cozy atmosphere that goes with it. I don't know if anybody else feels that way as well, or if it's just myself. But I really do quite like string lights, and it creates a very nice, again, softly lit environment, allowing allowing for a bit more subtlety. You know, the hottest spots as far as lighting is concerned, I mean, are actually those spots coming from the green spotlights, and I might dull those down, excuse me, a little bit as well. We'll see though. We'll see when we get there. And over here now, lighting this space up again. You know, it's a challenge actually to make this lighting so subtle. It's very easy to make it very bright and vibrant. But making it subtle, finding the right angles to make sure that, you know, things are actually visible, but at the same time you can't see those hot spots, not very easy at all. And you'll see like the crisscrossing angles and stuff I use to try and avoid that cone shape that you can see, you know, so blatantly in the case of some of these lights over here. I make some adjustments further down. At first I'm like, oh, these are okay, I think, but as I add more lights to the area, I realize I'm really not happy with them, so you'll see me make some adjustments. But I really don't like that the cone is so visible, right? And that makes it quite a challenge because you're working with a spotlight, and if the diffusion isn't right, if the fall off isn't right, then you're gonna get that strong shape. But you'll see I make a couple of adjustments, and I end up pretty happy with this space as well. But it takes a bit longer than I'd expected, actually. Like again, you can see as long as the edge is soft enough, because you're always going to get like some kind of a shape, but as long as the edge is soft enough, I'm pretty much okay with the overall shape of the lighting. But I believe that's this space all lit up. Next is to actually get this space named. So there was a name suggestion that came in pretty much right away, right off the bat when this space was built. I believe it was in the same episode, if not the episode after. And I like to, again, just to reiterate, I like to wait just a little bit of time before picking a name. I know back in the day I would pick one basically right away, but I feel like, you know, as time has gone on, people are having a harder time sort of keeping up with all the episodes that release and stuff. It might be easier now that we're releasing episodes a bit more slowly. So I decided to slow down on naming a little bit just so people had time to catch up and get their suggestions in as well if they wanted to. But I think we've waited long enough before we got this name down over here. So the African elephant enclosure is now called the Mammoth Tusk, which I like for a couple of reasons, and I actually touch on those after the time lapse, so I'll leave it for future past Party Elite to touch on those as we move on to lighting this space up. Now, I do... maybe it would have been wiser for me to light up the actual enclosure rather than do this decorative lighting, but I couldn't help myself. I had this idea and I wanted to see how it would look, and I think it looks absolutely spectacular. You'll see it in sort of a more like decent speed after the time lapse. I do come back and kind of highlight everything and take a look at everything so you can actually catch stuff that you may have missed while we're rushing around at top speed over here. But I really like how this tiny like ring of light looks. Again, I wish the lighting was a bit more, I guess, accurate, because what happens is, I mean, you'll see that the path isn't actually getting lit up at all, and I'd expect it to at least get some light, right? But it's just that the fall off of the light, I think, is too sudden, and I feel like it doesn't actually point in every direction as much as it implies it will. Either way, I think it looks gorgeous along the edge of these pieces, and I'm thinking of applying it across the whole walkway, but it will take time to do. You can see me struggling over here a little bit to get this to line up. Even though they're the exact same shape, it takes me some effort to line them up properly because of I guess the angles and stuff aren't perfect. Hopefully I can find a way to do it much more smoothly. But as I finish this arc up over here as well, you can see how nice it looks. I think it looks great. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts, but this is the last act of this time lapse, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. A bit of beauty, a bit of lighting, a bit of naming. Quite a bit done, actually, today. But with that done, it's time to go back to regular speed. Alright, folks, we are back from the time lapse, and I am quite pleased with how that played out, though, truth be told, it went a little sideways right off the bat, didn't it? I thought I was going to focus on lighting all the way through, or at least for starters, and then immediately I went back on my word and focused on a couple of different things. I don't know how it slipped my mind, but I did have some name suggestions that I wanted to put in, and as a result of, or rather, while putting those name suggestions in, some other decorative elements sort of came to avert your eyes. It's going to be very bright for a second here. Wow, that was a lot brighter than I expected. All right, we're good now. I realized that the exposed like flooring ceiling wasn't a very good look, so I went and we fixed all that stuff up. It looks a lot cleaner now. I'm a lot happier with how that feels and looks. Up over here, we got this more kind of subtle lighting. I mean, again, I'm sure I mentioned this during the time lapse as well, but I've been wanting to create a more, I guess, yeah, subtle intensity to the lighting at Elite Zoo South compared to what we did at Elite Zoo North, which is a lot more bright and vibrant and kind of in your face. I like that as well. It's got its place, but I wanted to try something different over here, and I wanted to try and stay consistent to that as we went onward. So pleased enough with this. I mean, it makes me think of a nice patio. You know, it's got that feeling to it where you've got those string lights up ahead, or like up above. You've got very very inconveniently placed posts and stuff like that. It feels like a good back patio at a good bar. But it also feels like, you know, when the weather gets a little chilly. Not that it does over here, I don't think, but when it gets a little chilly, we could drop a couple of heat lamps and it gets nice and warm and cozy. I also wanted to put down not just the name suggestions, by the way, for the spaces, which we'll touch on in just a moment, but also I got a name suggestion which was for the space, but I felt like it applied nicely to another kind of a guest facility, and I couldn't help it because it was too good to say no to. So we now have a chief beef, which is called the Mandrill Grill. How am I supposed to say no? How am I supposed to say no, right? And we had a nice little spot for it as well. I was thinking of leaving it empty, but I figure, hey, that's why not? I'm actually curious. Well, I'm just gonna leave it at this. But some of the free updates, because I don't want to get bogged down, because I will in just in future planning. Y'all know me, but I'm very excited to see how some of the free updates that are coming will integrate to spaces like this, because we've got a few of them, right? We've got a few of them, and it seems like some really cool ideas are being made possible. Really interested at it. I'm excited. I'm excited for not just the set of videos we'll be doing to look at the animals in the new DLC, but I'm also excited for all the free stuff that's coming and how that's going to impact the Elite Zoo Company's franchise zoos and stuff like that. I'm really quite excited for that. I also quite like how these guys are twinkling. I don't think that's intentional. What's happening is because we're zoomed out at just the right angle, the rendering engine is not able to like crisply render these tiny little pixels. And so you kind of get this flickering, which I actually quite like, even though it's completely unintentional. It does add a bit of charm to the space. But anyway, so right, I'm excited to see how these kinds of spaces, Om Nom Nom and Darwin's Den and stuff, how these kinds of spaces can be evolved, I guess. But let's go ahead and, right, we've got the Mandrill Grill over here. We need to go ahead and rename this enclosure to... Come on, there we go. Got to rename this enclosure to the Primate Posse, and it has also been some time that I've had this suggestion, but it's not that I forgot to put it in, but I wanted to wait to see. Again, I did this with the Primate Posse as well. I like to wait some time to see if more suggestions will come through as people lag behind and are catching up. I want to make sure people have enough time to get their suggestions in before we commit. But the Mammoth Tusk came in relatively early on, if not immediately, as a suggestion, and I quite like it for a few reasons. For one, as some of you have rightfully pointed out, this tusk shape is a lot more like a mammoth's tusk in its sort of curvature and all that, but also it touches on the really horrendous bit of wordplay when I dove into that time lapse, calling it a mammoth tusk, like a mammoth task. God, but it works as a nice name, and we're going to make it official right now. Where are we? Here we are. Go ahead and call you the Mammoth Tusk. There you go. I believe we now have all of our enclosures named. I also want to say, so of course we did the lighting like I was talking on over there. We got some of this lighting over here, very nicely tucked away. Quite pleased with how it, again, very subtly lights up this enclosure. We're not lighting it all up. We want this to feel like the animals can, if they want to, tuck away here and there. I might add some lights over here, actually. Why don't I try something really quickly over here, just while we're in real time, because the idea has come to me, and I just want to see if it'll work. Why don't I go ahead and put you down over here and see how this looks by the water. It just kind of like shines right through, so it doesn't feel like you're getting a nice reflection or anything like that. So not particularly compelling. We'll figure something out if I want to light these central areas out. But again, I do quite like that it's not all lit up. You know, it's just a couple of spots that have a couple of like highlights basically to them, and then the rest of it is a little darker. Yeah, I want the animals to be able to relax and chill. And some of you suggested actually that their bedding areas I should maybe light up in red. If I'm going to add lights to their like to where they sleep, I should do it in red. This was a suggestion that came a long time ago. But that's because the red light really helps in like inducing sleep. This is true for humans as well. If I've got my memory right, you know, I know for a fact you do not want blue light when it's close to bedtime, because blue light will throw your your sleep cycle right off, which is why they say you shouldn't be looking at screens just before you go to bed. You shouldn't be looking at your phone and stuff before you go to bed, because the blue light coming off of it will disrupt your sleep schedule. And obviously the impact of that lasts for some time. It's not like you put your phone away and then 30 seconds later the impact is gone, right? The impact's still around for some time. I don't know how long it takes for your brain to kind of register that it's no longer receiving that blue light. But just like blue light is bad in terms of you want to fall asleep, red light I believe is good in inducing that sleep. So if you need to use light therapy and stuff in order to fall asleep, then that's some stuff to keep in mind as far as not just animals, I guess, but also humans. I was actually not surprised, but intrigued, I should say, that it applies to animals as well. I'm not surprised because it makes sense. I mean, we are animals ourselves as well. Let's never forget. That's when there are similarities. It's like, right, we're animals too. So I wasn't surprised, but I was intrigued. I was curious because, again, as much as we are animals too, we all have our differences as well. We have our similarities, but we have our differences as well, right? Like the visible spectrum is a great example, considering the light, red light, blue light, all this stuff is concerning visible spectrums. I was expecting maybe it would be a little bit different. If an animal can't actually see red, is it still affected by red? Now I'm actually really curious. I haven't thought about that question in that way in the past, but I suppose that would make sense, right? Because we can't see infrared, but I guarantee you we definitely feel the effects of it. We can't see ultraviolet, but we still feel the effects of it. Now, those effects are physical effects. Interesting. I'm curious because the sleepiness that you get from blue light, or rather the sleepiness that you get from red light, and the disruption to sleep that you get from blue light, is that because of vision or something else? I know this is the fun thing about learning new stuff. It's I know the general gist of the red light, blue light stuff, but I don't know the intricacies of it and the biology of it. So I'm actually going to look that up after this session, perhaps. And it's funny to hear me talking about sleep cycles and good and bad sleep practices because I'm not good at them. But anyway, all that aside, I do want to keep the lighting kind of subtle. I don't mind a couple more spots over here as guests come around this way, but the animals have a lot of space to kind of tuck away, hide under the trees, come down over here if they want to for a drink, and even tuck into some of these darker, shadier spots. And then, of course, if the guests are able to catch some glimpses, then that's good for them as well. What are you doing over here? Oh, okay. It looked like he was on his back. Avert your eyes again. I think we're going to get a bright flash over here once more as I turn the light on over here. Taking a little nap. I'm glad this flashlight isn't actually real. Oh, this guy's yawning over here. He's ready for a nap too. Just about done. I feel you, bud. I feel you. But one thing I want to touch on really quickly is this lighting over here. I really love. Absolutely love how this looks. I think this looks fantastic. It gives me some kind of modern vibes akin to what we have all the way over here at the Prosimian Plaza. If I can get the camera here quickly enough. Wow, man, this zoo is big. This zoo is big. I feel like it's significantly bigger than Elite Zoo North. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's significantly bigger. So it's kind of how this is a very kind of modern aesthetic. I get the same vibe from the lighting up over here, and I'm thinking about keeping this ring lighting going all the way through. The only issue is that it's not really strong enough to actually light the path, which is where my hesitation comes from. You can see it's lighting like the ground over here, and it looks beautiful. It looks, I'm just really pleased with it. I think it looks so slick, and I want to keep it going for that reason, like all the way through the path over here on both sides as well. So it'll be a time-consuming effort, but it doesn't actually light the path, which is my hesitation. It's like, should I not prioritize that, I suppose? On the topic of lighting the path, though, I want to mention very quickly, many of you, of course, have brought up time and time again the wayfinding. That is something that I do still want to pursue. Some of you are suggesting maybe the zoo's gotten too large to bother doing that. And you know what? You might be right. You might be right. Maybe it's too late. Maybe I should have kept on top of it. But like, truth be told, even when I took it on right from the beginning of Elite Zoo South, I knew it was going to be a huge undertaking. It's hard to keep up because it gets, again, when you're watching the time lapse, it's like, oh, it took like, 5 minutes to do that. But in reality, it takes a whole hour to get something like this lined up. I feel like we've spent like 6 to 7 to 8 hours on just what you see here already. So it is quite the undertaking. And with the rate at which DLC was coming out, with the rate at which we were adding animals and stuff at certain times, and the scale of the zoo as well, I knew we'd fall behind eventually. I think we all did. We might come back and I mean, I would like to come back and keep extending the wayfinding at least to a degree, right? Because I do like how it looks. I do think it looks quite gorgeous. I mean, look at this. I think it looks quite beautiful. But I think it's like, I mean, y'all let me know what you think. I don't think it's as much of a priority as, stuff like lighting up the spaces, getting some of the accent lighting and stuff getting some of the new animals added. I don't think any of us, as much as we might think so, I don't think any of us are interested in watching, 20 back-to-back episodes of me putting lights on paths, because that's what it would be. It does take a long time. Don't forget, I said 6 hours, but it's probably more like 4 hours. We've done like 4 episodes of wayfinding. So it's something I've been mulling over for a while with regards to how to most effectively push this further, keep it going, but also be realistic about the scale of the undertaking. I think I was maybe a little too eager when we started Elite Zoo South. But with that said, I mean, we've taken on other challenges that we've managed to maintain. For example, of course, the accessibility aspect and stuff like that. Very pleased about that. And overall, very pleased with Elite Zoo South. Anyway, I'm talking like we're saying goodbye, which we most certainly are not. There is still a lot of work to do. There is still plenty to do, animals to add, lighting to add, but of course we are going to be looking at a mini-series with a new DLC next, and then when we come back, I think we'll add a new animal. They don't live together, so we'll be adding a new animal, just the one, I mean. The reason why I say they don't live together is because none of the new animals we have to add work well together or share spaces, so we're not going to do like a shared enclosure. It'll be 3 separate enclosures, but that'll again be after our mini-series with a new DLC. Folks, I think this is where we're going to call it a session. Like I said, we're not saying goodbye to the zoo just quite yet, but we are saying goodbye, I think, to the session today. Like I said, a little bit of a shorter one, but I think we accomplished a fair bit. We actually managed to get a lot more management stuff done than I expected to. Honda will hopefully be happy soon enough when we kick off the next session. But apart from that, I mean, do we really have criminal incidents? Weird. Look, none of these challenges mean anything to us. None of these challenges matter to us because the rewards for them are so pitiful. We're at 5 million plus, which is very different from our situation at Jurassic World Evolution 2, where it's a bit rougher on the management side in a good way, in a challenging way. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed this session. I certainly did. I think it's been a long time coming. It's nice to just have a little bit of just color up over here. It's not just all the kind of like different shades of blue, shades and tints of blue. We can actually see the space over here. It does light up. I like how the green's lit up and stuff as well. From a distance, you can't actually see the very thin lighting up over there, same as you can't see the lighting down over here, right? You got to zoom in a fair bit before you can see that. But from over here, you can see it, and I do think it looks quite nice. I'm quite a fan of I'm quite a fan of this look. This is really cool in my books. It's very time consuming to do because of all the minor rotation and stuff like that. But I'm a big fan of how it looks. Love a good silhouette. I just caught that from a distance. I love a good silhouette. Where are our other elephants? We haven't. Oh, one over here. How do you lose an elephant? Oh, there we go. Hey, buddy. Oh, what a cutie. Oh my god, they're adorable. Something smaller than the toy it plays with. Wow, wasn't expecting to be that bright. What a cutie. Anyway, folks, this is, like I said, we're calling it a session. I hope you enjoyed this one. I certainly did. If you had a good time, leave a like, leave a comment. Y'all know the drill by now. It does make a very big difference in just what I do on the channel. I'll mention again really quickly, but if you've been supporting or if you've been enjoying, like I said, it's been an interesting couple weeks, hasn't it? If you've been enjoying this series very, very, very much, then you might want to consider becoming a channel member or patron. Links to both of those are in the description down below, or you can click the giant join button that is right underneath the video. And as I'm sure y'all are aware by now, it really helps support the channel, support these longer running series, and it has quite a few perks as well, like, again, staff names, sponsor boards, all that kind of good stuff. Folks, on that note, as always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big ol' thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.